You work hard every day, but stay broke. Here is why. Do you know what's truly frightening? Some people will work their entire lives, wake up early, struggle every day, and still end up with nothing. Not because they're lazy, not because they lack talent, not because life was unfair to them, but because of a few habits they never realize are quietly destroying their future. Listen closely, because what I'm about to say isn't motivational theory. It's real life. Every morning, millions of people get up before sunrise. They fight traffic. They work long hours. They come home exhausted, fall into bed, and repeat the same routine the next day. Weeks turn into years. Decades pass. But when you look at their savings, when you ask about investments, when you ask about financial growth, the answer is almost always the same. Nothing. They worked hard, but they stayed poor. Why? I once heard a man say, "If I just had more money, everything would change." But here's the truth. Even if you gave him more money, he'd lose it again. Why? Because bad habits always beat good luck. That's why lottery winners go broke. That's why people who inherit wealth often end up with nothing. Money without discipline disappears fast, like water slipping through your fingers. The first habit that keeps people trapped in poverty is survival spending. People think only in terms of getting through the month. The salary comes in, and before the weekend ends, it's gone. Rent, food, bills, a few small pleasures, maybe a meal outside, maybe a new phone they don't actually need. Then they're back to zero, month after month, year after year. Then they say, "I don't have opportunities." But the truth is, they're consuming everything instead of building anything. They're eating the seed instead of planting it. I know this because I lived it. I remember standing outside offices, desperate for work, being rejected over and over. When I finally got a job, I believed my life would change. But every time my income increased, my spending increased with it. I wasn't growing. I was just running faster on the same treadmill. Maybe that sounds familiar. Imagine two young men working in the same factory, earning the same salary. One goes home tired, watches TV, scrolls on his phone, spends money on small comforts. The other is tired too, but he spends 1 hour learning a new skill. He reads. He saves instead of constantly buying new clothes. 10 years later, the first man is still in the same factory. The second man owns a business. What's the difference? Not intelligence, not luck, not family background, just habits. Here's the hard truth. When your mind is focused only on surviving today, you never prepare for tomorrow. And the world rewards builders, not survivors. Look at J.K. Rowling. She was broke, a single mother, living on welfare, rejected by 12 publishers. She had every reason to quit. But instead of consuming her potential, she invested it. She kept writing. That seed became books, then movies, then a global empire. That wasn't luck. That was growth discipline. Most people think, "I don't have enough, so I'll spend what I have to feel good right now." They buy things that make them look rich instead of things that make them become rich. If you consume the seed, you stay hungry forever. If you plant it, protect it, and wait, one day you'll sit in its shade. Oprah Winfrey is another example. Born into poverty, abused, working in a grocery store at 14. By every statistic, she should have stayed poor. But instead of escaping pain through spending or complaining, she invested in her voice and her skills. She turned suffering into strength. She didn't start with money. She started with habits. That's the key lesson. Poor people aren't poor because they don't work hard. Some of the hardest working people in the world struggle financially. They stay poor because all their energy goes into surviving today instead of building tomorrow. Poverty isn't just in your wallet. It's in your thinking. Change the way you think, and your finances will follow. Change your habits, and your future changes with them. Now let's talk about the second habit that quietly keeps people broke: falling into money traps. These traps are everywhere: ads, sales, apps, trends. They're designed to separate you from your money. The moment most people get extra cash, they spend it. New phone, bigger TV, fancy dinner, new clothes. They call it a reward. But here's the difference. Poor people want to look rich. Rich people want to stay rich. Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought decades ago, while someone earning $500 a month takes a loan for a $1,000 phone. That's the consumer trap. I once knew a man who got a raise. Instead of investing in his future, he took a loan and bought a new car. People admired him, but every month, half his salary went to the bank. The car didn't free him. It trapped him. It didn't make him wealthy, it made the bank wealthy. Another trap is fear. People say, starting a business is risky. Investing is risky. So they keep their money in places where inflation slowly destroys it. They think they're being safe, but in reality, they're losing silently. Doing nothing is the biggest risk. When Jeff Bezos left a stable job to start Amazon, people laughed. But he understood something most people never do. The greatest danger isn't failure, it's never trying. Then there's procrastination. One day I'll save. One day I'll invest. One day I'll start. One day never comes. Time passes quietly. Compound growth rewards early action, not perfect timing. You don't start when everything is ready. You start where you are with what you have. And finally, environment. Your circle shapes your future. If your closest friends waste time, complain, and avoid growth, you'll do the same. But if they talk about ideas, skills, and progress, you'll rise with them. Change your circle, and your life changes. These traps, consumerism, fear, delay, and environment, don't steal your money instantly. They steal your future slowly. Now the third and most dangerous habit, blaming. Blaming the government. Blaming the boss. Blaming the economy. Blaming parents. Blame feels comforting, but it removes your power. The moment you blame, you surrender control. I once told a young man who complained about his upbringing, "That's exactly why you must succeed, so your children never say the same thing." Every generation passes down either excuses or opportunities. Complaining is another form of blame. It feels productive, but it creates nothing. No one has ever complained their way into success. Action builds results. Complaints build nothing. Two shopkeepers faced the same problem: no customers. One complained and waited. The other adapted, delivered, and created trust. Years later, one was stuck. The other owned a supermarket. Same problem, different mindset. Your future isn't decided by others. It's decided by your choices. Responsibility creates freedom. Excuses create chains. Poverty is not just about money, it's a mindset. No one is born poor forever. If someone stays poor, it's because habits never changed. Life rewards discipline, courage, and action, not excuses. So ask yourself, how long will you wait? How many years will pass before you act? 10 years from now, you'll regret two things: the chances you didn't take and the habits you refused to change. The good news? You can choose today, right now. Change your habits and your life changes with them. Success isn't built in one day, but it is built daily. Your habits decide your future.